Shalom. First, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Racha HaKadosh. And double honors to the apostles, bishops, and elders of Great Millstone from whom I learned this truth. Shalom to the 144,000 elect. I am Mayakala. And I just have a quick video that I wanted to play. Not really sure what I'm going to call this yet, but I think this video is probably only about maybe 2 or 3 minutes long. So I'm going to let it play, and I am going to be using this video under the 1976 Fair Use Act. This is for edification purposes only. This is not a monetized channel, so this is not in an effort to make any money. All right, this is strictly for edification purposes only. All right, again, so fair use, and I just have a few verses that I wanted to bring out because this is, even though this headline that you're looking at, it says Lavrov's World War III announcement, he doesn't make any official announcement, all right? But you know how they like to make these headlines that are so broad and dynamic so they get you to watch a video, but it is a short video that I did want to play as of I believe the 21st of July that he did make this announcement. And he's announcing really that Russia is not looking to negotiate or have a ceasefire with the Ukrainians. They're going full on with this thing. All right, so it lets me know that right there, this thing is going to continue and is more than likely going to escalate because you're also getting the European Union, other European countries involved in this thing. All right, they're wanting to put their nose in it and getting a little help from NATO. So this thing is going to continue, and it is the beginnings of World War III is what we're seeing, because we're seeing all kind of wars going on in various parts of the world, all right? So, like I said, I'm just going to play this short video and bring out a couple verses, and that'll be the end of this, so.
This records conversations better than taking notes ever could. This is Pocket, an AI note taker that records conversations so you don't have to.
The proposal by President Trump on 30 days moratorium on the strikes against the energy infrastructure was supported by President Putin and observed strictly. This was a confidence-building measure against the policy and action taken by Zelensky regime. As I said several hundred times, civilian energy infrastructure was struck. Another confidence-building measure was the proposal of President Trump and his team to resume the deal on Black Sea. And the delegations met in Istanbul, in Riyadh. The delegations exchanged the views how this can be implemented in practical terms, and the proposals made by Russia are being considered by the United States. There are many other examples about confidence-building measure, but if you believe that it's only Ukraine who is interested in confidence building, I think a short answer would be this is an illusion.
Do you take President Trump at his
seek balance of interests? If this is not what your station considers readiness for negotiations, then I don't know how to be even less eloquent in trying to be brief in my answers.
Well, there have been very clear, specific things said by the Trump administration, such as the vice president saying that the current lines of contact in Ukraine would freeze and end up fairly close to where troops are right now. Do you actually consider that a concession?
I don't discuss publicly the details of what is being subject of negotiations. I understand that you love rumors because rumors are played around.
The Vice President of the United States said it on camera.
Was it a question? What did you say?
Well, rumor. You said it was a rumor. The Vice President said it.
No, I said
Perhaps
that
you missed it.
No, I said about us. We are not discussing things which are subject to negotiations.
Okay. Minister Lavrov, thank you for your time this morning.
Thank you.
All right, so she wanted to try to cut him off and make him look bad, but he was letting her know that there's no negotiating going on. All right, he was pretty straightforward about it, and so even Russia knows that Trump and his administration are not being upfront and not telling the truth about what's going on in that even in that situation. And of course they're not being upfront and telling the truth what's going on in Iran. All right, they're just saying what they need to say in order for the media to put it out as the way he wants to portray it, as Russia being the bad guys, and in this other instance with Iran being the bad guys, when in all actuality it's the U.S. that's got this thing ramped up, that's got this thing going. All right, and Trump is just making up lies about negotiations and insisting that there be negotiations, when in all actuality there's no negotiations going on with these things. All right. But basically you're seeing the beginnings of World War III, all right, or as the three woes, as the book of Revelation refers to these wars. I'm going to go to Revelation chapter 11, verse 14, because it talks about these three woes. It says, the second woe is past, and behold, the third woe cometh quickly. And that's Revelation 11, verse 14. I wanted to ask Google,
you can create similar videos.
So I want to ask Google, what does Revelation 11 and verse 14 mean, and see what their answer is here.
Revelation chapters 11 and 14 represent God's victory over evil. Chapter 11 highlights the church's role, persecution, and the seventh trumpet, announcing Christ's reign. Chapter 14 contrasts the worship of the beast with the second coming and final judgment.
And I wanted to go a little bit further, and I did go a little bit further. I wanted to ask, and I'm going to leave off there on that because I want to go right to the scripture and bring that up. But I also asked Google, said, can those woes be interpreted as wars? And Google's response was yes. The woes are frequently interpreted as major wars and geopolitical conflicts. How Bible scholars interpret them depends heavily on which theological lens they use to view the book of Revelation. It says the primary interpretations mapping the woes to the wars include the modern futuristic view. This perspective views the text literally, placing the events in a future global tribulation. The second woe, the 200 million man army crossing the Euphrates River, is interpreted as a massive literal global military invasion. Some modern commentators suggest the demonic locusts of the first world will symbolically depict advanced military technology such as attack helicopters, drones, biochemical warfare. All right, but basically, I'm not going to go much more into that because we know that these three woes are speaking specifically about World War I, which is already passed, World War II, which is already passed, and what we're seeing now, the beginnings of the third woe, which is the Third World War, all right, which is going to usher in the day of the Lord. All right, so we're seeing the beginnings of this Third World War, or this third woe. And in between the 6th and the 7th trump is when the elect, all right, are going to be taken out of here. But they're going to be taken out of here before that actual fire begins to before those ICBM missiles, those nuclear missiles hit here in the United States, all right, before all hell breaks loose and that fire begins here in the United States. All right, they're just going to scarcely make it, just barely make it out of here, but it's going to happen somewhere in between that 7th trump and the 6th and the 7th trump, Salakia. I'm going to go just to support that what I just said, at them being scarcely saved out of this, and that's exactly what it says in 1 Peter chapter 4 and verse 18. It says, and if the righteous scarcely be saved, well shall the ungodly and the sinner appear. So if the righteous, the elect of the Lord of the nation of Yasharallah, are scarcely to be saved out of this thing, that lets you know, all right, that 2/3 of the nation of Yasharallah and the heathens, these other nations, they're not going to make it out of this thing, all right? The only ones that are going to be saved off of this planet, or saved out of the United States, are the elect, all right, of the Lord, all right, and the rest are going to be consumed, because this once those missiles hit the United States, it's going to burn continuously, all right, and it's not going to be inhabited by humans anymore. It's not going to be inhabited by anything other than desert creatures, all right. See if I wanted to bring out any more on there. Verse 19 says, wherefore let them that suffer according to the will of the Most High commit the keeping of their souls to him in well-doing as unto a faithful Creator. And the NLT says, so if you are suffering in a manner that pleases the Most High, keep on doing what is right and trust your lives to the Most High who created you, for he will never fail you. All right? And that's his elect. He's going to save his elect out of this thing, all right? I'm going to go to Isaiah chapter 26. And before, you know what, Salakia, before I go there, I'm going to stay in the book of Revelation. I'm just going to stay in the same chapter 11. And I'm going to move up to the verse 12 and bring that out. It says, "And they heard a great voice from heaven saying unto them, Come up hither. And they ascended up to heaven, and a cloud, that cloud being a chariot," all right? And this is talking about the elect that are going to be, like I just mentioned, they're going to be just scarcely saved. And once those ICBM missiles are on their way, all right? It says, and their enemies beheld them. And that's what's going to happen. These other heathen nations and the 2/3 of Yasharallah that are not part of that elect that's going to be beamed up, that's going to be brought up on those chariots, all right? They're going to behold them. They're going to witness this thing, all right? They're going to witness that chariot that brings up his elect, all right? And it's going to be a sight that they're not going to believe what they're seeing. Their eyes haven't beheld such a thing, all right? And they're going to be in shock. They're going to be in panic mode, all right? I'm going to go to Isaiah chapter 26 and verse 20. So this is what it means to be saved. So when you hear these Christians talking about they're already saved, they're already saved and saved from what? All right, because nothing has happened yet, and they're still in this place. They're still getting up, going to work on a regular basis. They're still in the captivity, and they're still in this beast system. They're still a part of this system. So what they're being saved, what they have been saved from, I don't know. All right, they just truly don't know the Lord, and they don't know what the day of the Lord is, and they don't know what it means to be saved. All right, but I'm going to bring this out. Isaiah chapter 26, verse 20 says, "Come, my people, enter thou into the chamber, and shut the doors about thee." All right, this is talking about what I just mentioned before. That this is the elect being beamed up, being brought up onto the chariot. Salakia. All right, I'm going to start that again. This is Isaiah 26 and verse 20. And it says, "Come, my people, enter thou into the chambers." This is the elect after being beamed up and being brought into the chariot. It says, enter thou into thy chambers, and shut thy doors about thee. Hide thyself as it were for a little moment, until the indignation be overpast. And what is that indignation being spoken about? This is the Lord's righteous anger. We can look that word up. It is H2195. And it says, under the biblical usage, it says anger, indignation. Strong's definition says strictly froth at the mouth, fury, especially of the Most High's displeasure with sin, angry, indignation, and it's a rage. All right, this is a righteous anger because of the wickedness that's being perpetrated in this on this earth right now, all right? So in the day of the Lord, that's what you're going to be witnessing. You're going to witness the anger of Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai, all right, and how displeased he is with this world, all right? This world currently being run by the wicked, all right? Says, verse 21 says, "For behold, the Lord Yahweh cometh out of his place." Salakia, "For behold, the Lord Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai cometh out of his place to punish the inhabitants of the earth for their iniquity. The earth also shall disclose her blood, and shall no more cover her slain." All right. So this is the day of the Lord that's being described here, and this is the elect of the nation of Yasharallah being saved out of this. So this is what it is to be saved. All right, enduring to the end until this thing actually kicks off. All right, and when those ICBM missiles are actually on their way, and just like I read in 1 Peter, that the righteous would be saved out of this thing. All right, but it's written, and then it is true that the elect, that 144,000, are going to be saved out of this thing. All right. Going back into Revelation, all right. But before I go there, this is what's going to be taking place. Is what we're seeing right now. We're seeing the nations, various armies beginning to gather, all right, in the so-called Middle East. All right, where this is going to take place, into the valley of what you call Jehoshaphat, which is actually Yahweh's Shaphat, Yahweh's, which means Yahweh's judgment. All right, he's going to judge the nations. He's going to judge all the nations because they're all going to be gathered there. Or their armies are going to be there. All right, and when they see the Lord Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai coming on that chariot, instead of warring against one another, all right, they're all going to join forces and turn and try to actually think that they can battle Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai and his chariots. All right, and they're going to turn their weapons on that chariot, and they're going to really see what those chariots are able to do, the weapons that they possess, which are much greater than any of the weapons that Yahweh has allowed man to develop. All right. They think they have their nuclear weapons, and they think they have their weapons that can fight against the Lord, but they're going to see that they are no match for him. They can't begin to defend themselves against the Lord when the Lord's righteous anger is kindled. All right, he's going to destroy this place. All right, and like I said, once those missiles hit the United States, all right, the United States is going to burn, and it's going to burn continuously until it burns itself out. I'm going to go to Zechariah chapter 14 and verse 12. It says, "And this shall be the plague wherewith the Lord Yahweh will smite all the people that have fought against Jerusalem. Their flesh shall consume away, while they stand upon their feet, and their eyes shall consume away in their holes, and their tongue shall consume away in their mouth." So when these missiles actually hit, all right, there is not going to be just a quick burning that's going to take place. All right, these people are going to witness these missiles, and they're going to feel the fire. All right, it's going to feel that that energy weapon that Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai has, that's going to come from his chariot as well, and it's going to consume them. All right, it's going to hit them just as they stand there on their feet witnessing what's taking place. All right, and it's not something, like I said, that's going to happen immediately, where you think it's going to be burned and then it's going to be over. No, this thing is going to continuously burn, and who knows how long Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai is going to allow the souls to actually be in these bodies. all right, while they're feeling that fire for the sinful lives they have lived, all right, for the wickedness that they have perpetrated upon this planet, all right. But just to give you a visual, if you saw that scene on the Terminator 2, where Sarah Connor's standing there holding that fence when those ICBM missiles hit, that's an example. That's only an example of what's going to happen when people flesh experience the fire that's going to consume them. All right. She was standing there holding on to that fence and couldn't let go, couldn't do anything but stand there and scream until her body was just consumed by that fire. That's what it's an example of what it's going to be like in the day of the Lord. Going back over to well, before I even go there, because I was talking about the elect being beamed up to those to that chariot. They're going to actually witness it. They're actually going to see what's going to take place, and I pray that I be counted among that number, and the men of great millstone, all right, who bring out the 100% truth. All right. And people are going to witness these missiles as they're on their way, and there is nothing that you're going to be able to do at that point when these missiles are on their way. All right. But you're going to feel a sickness come up on you like you never felt before. All right. Knowing that these things are coming, all right, to destroy this planet, and you got minutes before they actually hit. All right. And everything that you know is going to be consumed. Says I'm going to go to Wisdom of Solomon in the Apocrypha, chapter 5 and verse 2. It says, when they see it, they shall be troubled with terrible fear, and shall be amazed at the strangeness of his salvation, so far beyond all that they looked for. So it's going to be like a day, something that you can't even imagine, all right, when they're witnessing what's taking place, witnessing the elect that's leaving this planet, witnessing those ICBM missiles when they're actually on their way. All right. Going back into the book of Revelation. And this is going to be the last verse that I'm going to bring out. Back in Revelation chapter 11, verse 13, it says, "In the same hour was there a great earthquake, and the 10th part of the city fell." That's meaning that at that same hour, when they're witnessing those missiles, when they're knowing that those things are on their way, that these things are about to come upon them, about to happen, all right, FEMA is going to divide this country up, the United States, into 10 different zones, all right. But all of these zones, like I said, all of the United States, it's going to be consumed. So them being divided up in these 10 different zones means nothing. There's nothing that FEMA's going to be able to do once those missiles have been dispatched and dispensed. All right, and when they're on their way to the United States, there's nothing that FEMA's going to be able to do. There's nothing that nobody is going to be able to do to save you out of it. All right, except that you be part of the elect. All right, and that's the only way Yahweh Hashem Yahushai is going to allow you to be a part and be upon that chariot, that you be of the nation of Yasharallah and of that 144,000 elect. It says, back in verse 13, it says, "In the same hour was there a great earthquake, and the 10th part of the city fell, and in the earthquake were slain of men 7,000, meaning it's going to be a complete number that's going to be slain, that's going to be consumed. It says, "And the remnant were affrighted and gave glory to the power of heaven." All right. I wanted to go into Revelation 16 real quick. Let me just take a look before I do it. Revelation 16 and 18 says, and there were voices and thunders and lightnings, and there was a great earthquake. It's the same one that just talked about in Revelation chapter 11. It says, such as was not since men were upon the earth, so mighty an earthquake and so great. All right. So basically, what this is describing is the elect. All right, being saved. This is what it means to be saved. Just like there were 8 souls saved when the flood in the days of Noah. All right, this time it's going to be this place is going to be destroyed, and it's going to come by way of fire. All right, and there will only be 144 souls that's going to be saved out of this. The rest are going to be consumed. All right, by this great fire that's going to consume this place. All right. But I'm going to leave it there. And I pray that this has been edifying to the listener. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakha HaKadosh. Shalom.